uh,
The
Brother Jihan will start discussing it.
okay,
It's more
yes,
of
yes.
his expertise. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I am. Bro Jihan, the Kalam cosmological argument.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. I'm not. I don't like how I'm referred to as an expert of this, but it's an argument that I like because it's very simple. Although, just recently, there's a debate in Capturing Christianity by between Andrew Locke and Graham Opie, and I'm not sure if you watched it, but it's really good, and there are a lot of reviews of it. One of my favorite reviews is from Elephant Philosophy. So yeah. So the basic argument is Dr. Craig's argument. How he puts it is that whatever begins to exist is a cause. That's the first premise, and the second is that the universe began to exist, and so deductively, the conclusion follows that the universe has a cause. So one thing about this argument is it's not like how Aquinas tries to put it, because the Kalam cosmological argument just tries to point out that there is a cause of the universe, although there are comments on it that it doesn't display that the cause that's the cause is alone, that there might not be, maybe there's a lot of causes, there are a lot of gods, but I think the argument is simple. It's plain simple that it gives it can deliver what it the point that it wants to give, which is that the universe has a cause, and then deductively, and you can see the implications that this cause has theistic properties, and so I think it's good in the sense that it does support the monotheistic position, and I think Kaya has more thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I've been preferring lately a model of the Kalam cosmological argument that is not just strictly relegated to first. Okay, so Craig's argument is not unique to him. I'm not sure if you guys know that, but Craig's argument was developed from an Islamic theologian who's brilliant. I really recommend reading his work. His name is Imam al-Ghazali, and he was a brilliant philosopher, a brilliant theologian, and he was the first to initiate this idea of a kalam cosmological argument. Kalam is an Arabic word. So the idea there was a little bit different than what Craig did. What Craig did was take Ghazali's argument, which was purely philosophical, so it would have blended in well with something Aquinas might have argued. And then he took that and kind of exported it out of its environment in the early 1000s into our present environment, which includes modern science through the Enlightenment and rationalism. And so Craig, if you've read the argument that Craig presents, he gives two different sets of evidences, okay? He gives first the philosophical evidence, okay? That's the philosophical evidence for the premises that whatever begins to exist has a cause and the universe began to exist. He gives philosophical evidences for those two in the first category. In the second category, he brings in what Al-Ghazali didn't have access to, and that is the scientific evidence. So a lot of people object that the Kalam should not be relying on scientific evidence, but what Craig says over and over again, I think that's missed, is science can provide evidence in support of a philosophical argument that has theological implications. That's a direct quote from William Lane Craig. So the idea there isn't that the science is it's the foundation. No, the science is the evidence in support of the philosophical conclusion, which is based on a theological foundation, and that foundation is theistic, ultimately. However, I don't want to go too long on this, but I've been preferring Andrew Locke's argument, which he takes the Kalam and he intersperses it with what he calls a key Thomistic premise. And so if you want to, I can just read this argument. It's six. The particular formulation that he gives in his book, God and Ultimate Origins, is only 6 steps. So let me read those 6 steps and you can see where the Thomistic premise comes in. So premise 1, there exist entities that, 1, are members of a causal series, and 2, begin to exist. Premise 2, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise 3, if there is an entity that, 1, is a member of a causal series and 2, begins to exist, then there exists an uncaused entity X. Premise 4, there exists an X which is an uncaused and beginningless conclusion. That's from 1, 2, and 3. Premise 5. If X is uncaused and beginningless, nothing exists prior to it, and therefore it is a first cause. 6. X is a first cause from 4 and 5. And so what you notice there is that premises 3 and 4 are essentially Thomistic. They're essentially from Thomas Aquinas' cosmological argument. And in this book, Andrew Loke actually goes on to explicate Aquinas' view and to show that there is no real philosophical issue, which I know a lot of Roman Catholic philosophers have taken issue with, the Kalam. But Loke brings these two views of philosophy together, the Thomistic premise, as he calls it, and something like the analytic premise of William Lane Craig. So when we look at the Kalam, I don't want us to just think of the Kalam in Craig's terminology. We can also think of it in its broader scope, which Andrew Loke brings out in his book and in his newest book coming out next year. So just to summarize what I said, the Kalam in its original formulation started way before William Lane Craig, number one. William Lane Craig brought it back and imported science into it as evidence, not as a foundation, but as evidence. And then 3, people like Dr. Andrew Loke have unified the Thomistic cosmological argument with the Kalam cosmological argument to create a new, as he calls it, a novel Kalam cosmological argument. So we can, as Christians working to push back against the secular agenda, we can see that Thomas Aquinas and an analytic philosopher like William Lane Craig can actually come together to develop an extremely powerful philosophical argument.
How about Bro Skiri? Do you have any thoughts regarding the Kalam cosmological argument?
Basically, I agree with what Brother Kyle has said, no, that it's something like it's patterned after the philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas, the basic arguments that God is the uncaused cause. And we see some elements of Thomist philosophy in the Kalam cosmological argument. And basically, Brother Kyle has gives some expansion, no, to the argument of existence of God using Kalam.
Bro Arvin?
Well, what can I say? I think this is the best time for us to be united because there are growing atheism everywhere. Even in Facebook, you'll see it obviously. So I think that I don't think I can add something more about what has been said. So I think we can go to the next segment.